6 warships were offered. Only 3 will sail under the Philippine flag. Why? It is a question now echoing through defense ministries, naval headquarters, and security think tanks across the Indo-Pacific. On the surface, the decision appears confusing, even counterintuitive. Japan, one of Asia's most technologically advanced maritime powers, has placed up to 6 decommissioned Abukuma-class destroyer escorts on the table for transfer to the Philippine Navy. The ships come with no acquisition cost, offered under Japan's official security assistance framework, a policy designed specifically to strengthen the defense capabilities of trusted regional partners. For a Navy that has spent decades struggling with limited funding, aging platforms, and a vast maritime domain to defend, the instinctive reaction would be simple: take all 6. But navies are not built on instinct. They are built on logistics, training pipelines, doctrine, and the cold arithmetic of sustainability. As more details emerged, it became clear that accepting all 6 ships would not automatically translate into greater naval power. In fact, it could have produced the opposite effect. This is West Pacific Watch, and today we take a deep, unfiltered look at why the Philippines is considering only 3 Abukuma-class destroyer escorts instead of all 6, what this choice reveals about the country's evolving naval strategy, and how Japan's careful, calculated diplomacy is reshaping security dynamics in the West Philippine Sea. In early October 2025, defense publication The Defense Post confirmed what regional analysts had been quietly discussing for months. Japan had formally offered up to 6 Abukuma-class destroyer escorts to the Philippines. The announcement did not come with dramatic press conferences or political fanfare. Instead, it surfaced through defense reporting and official confirmations, signaling a deliberate, low-key approach by Tokyo. The Abukuma-class occupies an interesting place in naval history. Built between the late 1980s and early 1990s, these ships were designed during the final phase of the Cold War. At around 2,000 tons displacement, they are smaller than modern destroyers but significantly more capable than typical patrol vessels. Their primary mission was anti-submarine warfare, a role Japan took extremely seriously as it monitored Soviet submarine activity in the Pacific. Each ship was equipped with a mix of anti-ship missiles, anti-submarine rockets, lightweight torpedoes, sonar systems, and command and control equipment optimized for escort and patrol missions. While not cutting edge by today's standards, they remain credible platforms for maritime security operations, especially in environments where submarine activity is increasing. For the Philippines facing growing undersea challenges in the West Philippine Sea, the Abukuma-class appears almost tailor-made. So why not take all 6?
One of the most persistent misconceptions in defense discussions is the idea that donated warships are free. Acquisition cost is only the first line in a very long ledger. The moment a ship enters service, it begins consuming resources: fuel, maintenance, spare parts, training, munitions, dry docking, crew salaries. These costs accumulate year after year. A warship that cannot be properly sustained does not enhance national defense. It becomes a floating liability. The Philippine Navy knows this lesson well. For decades, the fleet relied on second-hand vessels acquired from allies. Many arrived with good intentions but limited long-term planning. Over time, shortages of spare parts, lack of trained personnel, and insufficient maintenance funding meant that some ships spent more time docked than deployed. Modernization efforts over the past decade have been aimed at breaking that cycle. The guiding principle is no longer, how many ships can we get? It is now, how many ships can we keep operational? Japan's offer comes under its Official Security Assistance, or OSA, program, a relatively new policy that marks a significant shift in Tokyo's post-war defense posture. For decades, Japan's constitution and political culture placed strict limits on military exports. That has gradually changed as regional security conditions have evolved. Under OSA, Japan can provide defense equipment to select partners when doing so contributes to regional stability and Japan's own security. The Philippines is a prime candidate under this framework, sharing maritime concerns, sea lanes, and strategic interests with Japan. However, OSA is not a blank check. Every transfer must pass legal review, budgetary scrutiny, and political assessment. Japanese officials must be able to justify why a particular asset is being transferred, how much it will cost to refurbish, and whether the recipient can realistically use it. This is where the number 6 begins to shrink. While 6 Abukuma-class ships are technically available for retirement, open-source defense observers and Japanese maritime analysts point out a critical detail. only about half of them remain in what could be described as transferable condition. After more than 30 years of service, some hulls are simply too worn to justify refurbishment. Hull fatigue, aging propulsion systems, outdated sensors, and obsolete electronics all add up. Even Japan's meticulous maintenance standards cannot reverse the effects of time indefinitely. To bring all 6 ships up to a baseline operational standard would require extensive overhauls, potentially costing billions of yen per ship. For Japan's Ministry of Defense, that level of expenditure under a foreign assistance program would be difficult to defend politically. Transferring 3 viable ships is practical. Refurbishing 6 aging hulls is not. From Tokyo's perspective, offering 3 ships that can still operate effectively makes strategic, economic, and diplomatic sense. Even if Japan were willing to refurbish all 6 ships, the Philippine Navy would still face a hard constraint: absorption capacity. Each Abukuma-class destroyer escort requires a crew of roughly 120 to 150 sailors. These are not generic billets. They demand specialized training in Japanese combat systems, engineering layouts, and maintenance procedures. Building that expertise takes time. The Navy is already in the middle of a major transition. The Rizal-class frigates introduce new systems and doctrines. Upcoming Hyundai-built frigates will add another layer of complexity. Offshore patrol vessels, submarine development discussions, and infrastructure expansion are all happening simultaneously. Adding 6 more ships of an entirely different class would stretch manpower, logistics, and training pipelines to the breaking point. 3 ships, on the other hand, are manageable. They can be crewed without stripping personnel from other units. They can be supported without overwhelming logistics chains. And they can be integrated into existing doctrine without forcing rushed compromises. It is tempting to equate fleet size with strength. Headlines love numbers, politicians love numbers. But sailors know better. A fleet where half the ships are tied to the pier due to lack of crew or spare parts is weaker than a smaller fleet that can deploy at a moment's notice. Defense analysts such as Max Defense Philippines have repeatedly emphasized this point. In their assessments, the acquisition of 3 Abukuma-class ships is not a downgrade. It is an optimization. Better to operate 3 ships at high readiness than 6 at partial capability. Once transferred and integrated, the Abukuma-class ships will not serve as showpieces. They are likely to be assigned to missions that directly address the Philippines' most pressing maritime concerns: anti-submarine patrols, escort operations, and maritime domain awareness in contested waters. They will operate alongside the Rizal-class frigates and future Korean-built heavy frigates, forming a layered naval presence rather than a scattered collection of hulls. This is deliberate design, not limitation. When discussions turn to donated warships, the conversation often stops at acquisition, zero-cost free transfer, strategic generosity. But for naval planners, the real accounting begins after the flag is raised. Even with no purchase price, each Abukuma-class destroyer escort carries a substantial financial footprint. Transportation alone, towing or sailing the ships from Japan to the Philippines, requires planning, fuel, port coordination, and escort arrangements. Once in Philippine waters, inspections begin, followed by refits, upgrades, and system integration. Refurbishment is not optional. Navigation systems must be updated to meet modern safety standards. Communications equipment must be compatible with Philippine and allied networks. Combat systems, even if retained in their original configuration, require recalibration, testing, and certification. Defense analysts estimate that refitting each Abukuma-class ship could cost between P1 billion and P2 billion, depending on the scope of modernization. Multiply that by 6, and the financial burden quickly approaches levels that compete with entirely new ship programs. And those are just the upfront costs. Sustainment is where fleets succeed or fail. Each ship demands a steady supply of spare parts, many of which are specific to Japanese designs from the 1980s. While Japan may initially provide some stock, long-term availability is never guaranteed. Custom fabrication becomes expensive. Delays become common. Operational readiness suffers. Training is another constant expense. Sailors rotate. New crew members must be trained. Officers must attend specialized courses. Simulators must be maintained. Technical manuals must be translated and updated. Then there is maintenance. Hulls require periodic dry docking. Propulsion systems demand scheduled overhauls. Corrosion, the eternal enemy of navies, must be fought relentlessly in tropical waters. These costs do not scale linearly. 6 ships cost significantly more than double the cost of 3 because they strain shared resources, dockyards, maintenance crews, and training pipelines. For the Philippine Navy, sustainability is not an abstract concept. It is a hard-won lesson. For much of its post-Cold War history, the Philippine Navy operated under severe constraints. Ships were acquired opportunistically rather than systematically. Platforms of different origins, ages, and capabilities were mixed together with limited logistical cohesion. The result was predictable. Some ships became maintenance queens. Others were cannibalized for parts. Crews were shuffled between vessels with minimal continuity. Readiness suffered. Modernization efforts over the last decade aim to reverse that legacy. The focus is now on standardized platforms, predictable maintenance cycles, and coherent doctrine. Accepting only 3 Abukuma-class ships fits that philosophy. Anti-submarine warfare is no longer a niche capability. In the Indo-Pacific, it is rapidly becoming central. The waters of the West Philippine Sea are seeing increased submarine activity. Regional powers are investing heavily in undersea fleets, recognizing that submarines provide stealth, deterrence, and strategic leverage. For the Philippines, the ability to detect, track, and respond to submarine threats is critical. This does not require a massive fleet of high-end destroyers. It requires persistent presence, trained crews, and platforms optimized for ASW missions. The Abukuma-class, despite its age, was designed specifically for this role. Its sonar systems, ASROC launchers, and torpedo suites remain relevant in modern maritime security operations, especially when integrated with allied intelligence and surveillance networks. 3 such ships, properly deployed, can significantly enhance maritime domain awareness. There is also a doctrinal shift at play. In the past, acquiring more ships was seen as a signal of national resolve. Today, doctrine emphasizes interoperability, networked operations, and joint missions with allies. The Philippine Navy increasingly operates alongside the navies of Japan, the United States, Australia, and regional partners. In this environment, compatibility matters more than sheer numbers. 3 Abukuma-class ships can be fully integrated into joint exercises, information-sharing networks, and coordinated patrols. 6 ships, if under-supported, risk becoming isolated assets with limited contribution. This is not about looking strong. It is about being effective. Japan's approach to this transfer reflects its broader strategic culture. Tokyo is expanding its defense role, but cautiously. The OSA framework is designed to build partner capacity without triggering escalation or domestic backlash. Large-scale transfers must be politically defensible. They must be seen as stabilizing, not provocative. Offering 3 ships aligns with this philosophy. It signals commitment without excess. It strengthens a key partner without appearing to militarize the region aggressively. Japan also understands that the success of this transfer will be judged not by headlines, but by outcomes. 3 ships that sail regularly and operate effectively are a better testament to OSA's value than 6 ships tied to the pier. Warships do not sail themselves. Each Abukuma-class ship requires a highly trained crew capable of operating complex systems under stress. Recruiting, training, and retaining such sailors is a constant challenge, especially in a navy competing with civilian maritime industries for talent. The Philippine Navy is already expanding its manpower to support new frigates, patrol vessels, and future submarine ambitions. Stretching that manpower too thin would undermine all programs simultaneously. By limiting the transfer to 3 ships, planners can ensure that each vessel receives a stable, well-trained crew. Experience can be built incrementally. Lessons learned can be applied before further expansion. This is how professional navies grow. Infrastructure often lags behind ambition. Recognizing this, the Philippine government has invested in port and shipyard development. The announcement of a deep-water dockyard in Misamis Oriental, capable of berthing frigates and submarines, is a significant step forward. But infrastructure projects take time. Until they are fully operational, capacity remains limited. 3 additional major surface combatants can be accommodated. 6 would strain dock space, maintenance schedules, and support facilities. Again, the choice reflects realism. Defense analysts have described the Abukuma-class ships as ideal transition platforms. They bridge the gap between legacy vessels and next-generation warships. They allow crews to gain experience in ASW operations, integrated combat systems, and sustained deployments. This experience will be invaluable as the Navy moves toward more advanced platforms in the future. 6 ships would not accelerate this learning curve. They would dilute it. Every military acquisition sends a signal. Accepting 3 ships communicates resolve without provocation. It shows that the Philippines is serious about defending its maritime interests, but not seeking an arms race. This balanced signaling is important in a region where miscalculation can have serious consequences. When viewed in isolation, the decision to accept only 3 Abukuma-class ships may seem conservative. When viewed in context, it is anything but. It reflects a Navy that understands its limits, respects its responsibilities, and plans for the long term. It is the mark of an institution growing into strategic maturity. For much of the 20th century, naval strength was often measured by raw numbers. More hulls meant more power, more influence, more deterrence. But the nature of maritime conflict has changed. Today, a warship's value is defined not by its existence, but by its availability. A ship that cannot deploy on short notice is not a deterrent. A ship without trained crew is not a weapon. A ship without spare parts is not a capability. The Philippine Navy's decision to accept only 3 Abukuma-class destroyer escorts reflects this modern understanding. It marks a transition away from symbolic acquisitions and toward practical, usable power. Once commissioned, the 3 Abukuma-class ships are expected to play a focused but crucial role. Their primary mission will center on anti-submarine warfare, escort operations, and maritime domain awareness. In the West Philippine Sea, these missions are no longer theoretical. Subsurface activity has increased steadily as regional powers expand their undersea fleets. The ability to detect and track submarines is essential for protecting sea lines of communication, offshore resources, and naval task groups. Operating alongside the Rizal-class frigates, the Abukuma-class ships will provide depth rather than redundancy. The frigates offer multi-role capability, while the destroyer escorts specialize in ASW. Together, they create a layered defensive posture that is more resilient than a collection of similar platforms. This is the logic of modern naval doctrine: complementary roles, not overlapping ones. Another key factor shaping this decision is interoperability. The Philippine Navy increasingly conducts joint exercises with Japan, the United States, Australia, and other regional partners. These exercises emphasize information sharing, coordinated patrols, and combined responses to maritime threats. The Abukuma-class, being of Japanese origin, integrates naturally into this ecosystem. Shared procedures, familiar systems, and established training pipelines reduce friction during joint operations. With 3 ships, the Navy can ensure consistent participation in allied activities. Crews can build relationships, standard operating procedures can be refined, and lessons can be institutionalized. 6 ships, if undersupported, would add complexity without proportional benefit. Japan's involvement in Philippine defense marks a significant evolution in regional security dynamics. For decades, Tokyo maintained a low military profile, constrained by constitutional interpretations and domestic politics. That posture is changing in response to an increasingly contested Indo-Pacific environment. The OSA framework represents Japan's effort to contribute to regional stability without abandoning its principles. Rather than exporting high-end offensive systems, Japan focuses on capacity building, patrol vessels, surveillance aircraft, and now, destroyer escorts. By limiting the transfer to 3 ships, Japan ensures that the assistance is sustainable and effective. It also creates a model for future cooperation, one that prioritizes quality over quantity. Overextension is a silent killer of military capability. History is full of examples where forces expanded faster than their ability to support themselves. The result is often hollow power, impressive on paper, fragile in reality. The Philippine Navy's leadership appears keenly aware of this risk. By aligning acquisitions with manpower, infrastructure, and budget realities, they are avoiding the trap that has ensnared many developing navies. 3 ships fit within current and near-term capacity. 6 would not. From a public perspective, it is easy to frame this decision as conservative or even timid. Why turn down free ships? Why not maximize the offer? But defense planning is not a popularity contest. It is a discipline grounded in realism. Strategic decisions must account for what can be sustained over decades, not just announced in press releases. The Philippine Navy is not rejecting capability, it is sequencing it. The Abukuma-class ships are not an end state. They are a stepping stone. As the Navy gains experience operating more complex surface combatants, it is laying the groundwork for future capabilities, including more advanced frigates, enhanced maritime surveillance, potential submarine operations. The skills developed on these destroyer escorts, ASW coordination, networked operations, and sustained deployments will transfer directly to future platforms. In this sense, 3 ships are not a limitation, they are an investment. Every naval acquisition in the region is watched closely, particularly by China. By choosing a measured approach, the Philippines sends a clear but controlled message. It is strengthening its defenses, improving its ability to monitor and protect its waters, and deepening alliances without seeking confrontation. This balance is crucial. Escalation benefits no one. Deterrence, properly calibrated, preserves stability. 3 well-integrated destroyer escorts achieve that balance better than a rushed expansion. It is tempting to dismiss 3 ships as insignificant, but in naval operations, impact is not linear. 3 ships, if properly deployed, can maintain persistent presence through rotational patrols. They can support exercises, escort missions, and surveillance operations without exhausting crews. They can train new sailors, refine doctrine, and provide real-world experience that no classroom can replicate. 6 ships, without adequate support, would struggle to do the same. Ultimately, this decision reflects a Navy that has learned from experience. It understands that modernization is not about catching up overnight. It is about building steadily, deliberately, and sustainably. The choice to accept only 3 Abukuma-class destroyer escorts is not a rejection of opportunity. It is a recognition of responsibility. 6 warships were offered, 3 will sail. Not because Japan withheld generosity, not because the Philippines lacks ambition, but because both sides understand that real power lies in readiness, not rhetoric. Japan cannot responsibly transfer more than what makes sense. The Philippines cannot sustainably operate more than what it can support. Together, they have found the balance point. 3 ships, fully crewed, fully maintained, and fully integrated, will do more to protect Philippine waters than 6 ever could if half were idle. This is not weakness, it is wisdom. This is not limitation, it is strategy. This is not hesitation, it is maturity. This has been West Pacific Watch. If you found this analysis insightful, stay tuned, because the next phase of the Philippine Navy's modernization may already be taking shape, steel by steel, in shipyards at home and abroad, preparing to sail under the Philippine flag.